Hi. I think we might be looking for each other.
A few weeks ago, my colleague Caitlin and I were wandering around the base of a dusty hiking trail in Arizona.
We're from the New York Times. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hey,
I'm Steve.
Nice
That's pleasure. Pleasure.
Stephen?
Yes, nice
Nice
to see
meet
you.
I'm Caitlin.
Caitlin,
We've
pleasure.
been an hour at another trailhead going, what do you think they are?
I'm sorry, did we go to the wrong one?
No, you're at the right one.
you're
We
at the
went to
right
the
one.
wrong one. I Google mapped it this morning. It said, take me to Dreamy Draw Trailhead. It said, got ya. And they sent us to the one just a mile down the road. And it was a beautiful trailhead, but it wasn't. And we said, wow, this doesn't look at all like what people described to us. Because we've gone to multiple trailheads, right? And this is the first time we've come to Dreamy Draw. Because we heard the last time they had such a good turnout and such a positive response out here. I'll get the...
Okay, cool. We'll stay out of y'all's way for a second.
Yeah, and we'll get all set up.
No problem. Remind me your name again?
My name is Susan Ashley.
Susan. Okay,
Yes.
that's that.
Apparently, Dreamy Draw Trailhead is a great place for foot traffic in Maricopa County. And so, for an ambitious organizer, a perfect place to collect signatures.
Can I get one of those?
A pen? Well, I think your parents, we'll ask your parents and see if that's okay.
Well, my dad's not here.
How about your mom?
She's
Yeah.
over there. I bet she would love it. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, why don't you drag her over? But we can't give it to you without talking to her because it has some sensitive stuff on it. And we just want to make sure your parents are okay with that.
What, like what?
Well, it's just an issue that it's a grown-up's issue. So it's something that you normally don't see the kids involved in. So just see what she says. She might be perfectly okay with it.
It was 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday, and Susan and Steve were collecting signatures for a new ballot measure that would enshrine abortion rights in the Arizona state constitution.
Hey, Bob, what'd you learn?
I'm just trying to get one of those pens.
Well, yeah, so we decided we better talk to the mom before we
let's
give
do
out
this.
a sticker. You ready?
Yep.
Are you registered in Maricopa County?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you know what you're signing?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Now, carefully printing first and last name, because this is how they find you on the voting rolls.
So what is this? What is this?
I'm going to have your mom explain it to you on the drive home.
to you.
It's 5:11 today.
Thank you.
You did a perfect job. She takes instruction well.
Military.
Okay, so now your mom, she's now said it's okay for you to take this. So you can either have a pen or a sticker, whichever one you'd like.
Which one would you take?
The sticker is so good on backpacks,
Is it?
hats.
Does it stay?
It does.
Okay, cool. Then
Yeah.
let's do this one, all right? Thank y'all. Appreciate what you do.
Bye.
One question.
My name's Estelle. This is Caitlin. We're from the New York Times. We're talking to people about the referendum and partially like why they are like motivated to sign. You said you knew already what it was. I'm curious like how this came on your radar.
This has been on my radar for a long, long time. I've had friends in situations where their health was threatened, where the quality of life for not only the mother who was pregnant and their existing family and the baby would have been negatively impacted by the addition to the family. I understand how our planet itself is facing crisis when it comes to healthcare, medical care, with just sustainability. You know, overall, we can't sustain the rate at which we're repopulating. So just a whole lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And, you know, I never had to face this choice, but my mother has. I've had 3 best friends who have, you know, and I understand. It's just it's not right for anybody to make that decision for somebody else.
You're someone who considers themselves like Democrat, Republican. Did you see that kind of outside
Very
of
moderate.
this?
I just issue by issue. Yeah.
It's Arizona's place in this election is so big, and on this issue is going to be really big too. Are you talking to people about this? Or like, how much has
I
this
have
been in
3
the
jobs, and I'm in school, and I'm a single mom, and I take care of my mom. I talk to nobody.
He said, I don't talk to nobody, but I know what I feel about this.
I
Thank you
know.
so much.
Yeah,
Have a great rest of your
absolutely
day.
appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Yeah, y'all stay hydrated.
Just say
will.
that snake over
Do you guys have
Yeah.
water?
Snake?
Yeah.
Snake holes.
Yeah, we took some back trails. We saw snakes, so be careful.
All right.
Come on, honey bun.
Have a good day.
Bye, y'all.
I didn't feel that was exploiting the child too much.
Hey! You didn't at all. He was adorable.
If you're a Democrat, or someone who wants President Biden to win re-election, there hasn't been a lot of good news lately. Most polling following Trump's criminal conviction shows him tied or ahead. Republicans have started to close the Democrats' advantage in fundraising. And this week, President Biden's average approval rating dropped to the lowest in his entire term, as voters continue to prefer Trump on issues like immigration and the economy. But in state and local elections over the past 2 years, there's a good argument that abortion rights has been the most politically salient issue of all, throwing the Republican Party into chaos and helping Democrats achieve key victories throughout the midterms. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to focus on how abortion rights could impact the 2024 election through the lens of Arizona, a battleground state that Joe Biden narrowly won in 2020 and that both parties are desperate to claim in November. Today, how abortion rights groups have turned the Dobbs decision into their most potent political weapon, and the Democrats trying to seize on it. From the New York Times, I'm Ested Herndon. This is The Run-Up.
How often have you been going out to collect signatures?
Well, we're out here 6 days a week. We're trying trailheads, but we go to parks, we go to bookstores, we go to nice little bars, we go any place where we think we can capture a demographic, we'll try to get there.
So Susan and Steve are volunteering with Arizona for Abortion Access, a coalition of groups collecting signatures for this ballot measure that would create a constitutional right to an abortion in Arizona. Right now, abortion is legal there up to 15 weeks. If this measure passes, it will be protected up to fetal viability, which is usually defined around 22 to 24 weeks, though it also allows for some exceptions. The group says they already have well over the number of signatures they need to get the measure on the ballot, but they're still collecting anyway, in anticipation of legal challenges.
This might seem intuitive, but can you explain why it's this issue that you think motivated you specifically about?
Yes, so I was absolutely in despair about what was happening here. And for me, this issue, I said, okay, this is something I can do that will have an impact, that will drive people to the polls. Because we have a big problem here with not being able to get the younger demographic and get the minority demographic. And we've got to get those out to vote. Yes, we've got to get those people out to vote. And I figured that this cause, which is also very dear to my heart, because I was 16 when Roe versus Wade came in, and never had to worry about this issue at all. And I'm outraged at what they're trying to take, the grabbiness of what is happening here. I cannot believe that in this day and age that they're interfering in this thing at all. But it's a very powerful and resonates quite a bit with the voters, and that's a great thing. So if we can get these people who sign this out to the polls, that will be wonderful.
The efforts got a surprising boost in April, when the state Supreme Court revived an 1864 law, written back when Arizona was still a territory, that would have made nearly all abortions illegal. The state legislature overturned the law, but it drove a lot of engagement.
Absolutely. As soon as the 1864 was passed, when we were out petitioning, we would get maybe a page. We were getting 4 and 5 and 6 pages at a time. People were lined up to come and sign the petition, and they would wait in line to be able to do that. Now, and again, occasionally we'll get a little bit of a rush, but for the most part, it's 1Z, 2Z, 3Z. But when we had, a dozen people in line waiting for this, it was exciting. But also kind of upsetting that it took that to get people to want to sign the initiative. So we were crushed by the fact that they did it, but really thankful that it actually got some people who were kind of on the fence or thinking it's going to be okay without my help. They realized, and honestly, that was part of us. We were home looking at the television, screaming at it, complaining, and I said, we can scream and complain at the television, or we can scream to the television and do something.
As we'd been talking, some more people had started wandering by.
Are you a registered voter?
I am.
In Maricopa County?
I am.
Do you know what you're signing? This is the pro-choice women's reproductive freedom?
Yep, I already signed this one at Changing Hands.
Thank you for the support. The women in your life, thank you.
Do you need a pen?
Which gave us an opportunity to pull them aside and learn a little more about the type of Arizonans that were supporting the efforts.
Tony.
Estet, nice to
Estet,
meet
nice
you.
to meet you.
So, just curious, like, you said you already signed. How did this issue come on your radar?
Oh, it's been on my radar for quite some time. You know, it's been very disappointing that Democrats in general haven't prioritized codifying Roe even before, you know, the Supreme Court loading with Trump. And, like, it's an important issue, no matter where you stand on it, like, morally. If you just look at it from the perspective of so many things can go wrong during a pregnancy, right? And besides all that, it's still just between the woman and her doctor and her family, and that's where the choice should lie.
Yeah.
And I don't believe the state should be involved in that whatsoever. And yeah, I'm proud to see that my community's out here lobbying for these types of issues.
You're someone who considers himself a Democrat, Republican, Independent, anything?
You know, I probably would have identified as a Democrat for majority of time, but they're probably more right than I am. Like I feel like I would probably put myself more in a independent camp now. To be perfectly honest with you, it was probably around the 2016 election.
Okay.
A candidate like Trump doesn't come to fruition if the Democratic Party actually listens to its constituents and prioritizes the issues that we talk about.
You're saying Democrats should see Trump ascending as a Democratic failure.
Correct. Absolutely. Because you lost a lot of independents. You lost a lot of people, again, that are talking about the real things that are happening right now in our communities, right? Like, you can't buy a house in the city now. We're not talking about those things and doing anything about them at a legislative level that actually that makes the middle class stronger, that gives opportunities to lower class coming up. You know, I don't really believe that the Democratic Party even understands what their base is. And so, am I okay with more of the same if it means that we don't have Trump back in power? Then yeah, but am I disappointed overall about the directionality of politics and, like, yeah, where we're going as a Democratic Party? Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
So
what I hear is you might end up voting for Biden in the fall, but you see it as more of an anti-Trump vote than like an endorsement of the Democratic Party's direction.
yeah, I think we have to do a better job at a grassroots level to, like, make our voices heard. I love seeing things like this, people out here lobbying for issues that matter to them. I think at a community level, we have to, like, open conversations more. People just in general feel very divided because they just dig their heels into issues and they don't want to listen to the other side, right? Like, to be perfectly honest with you, when I was younger, I used to be a pro-life advocate. Like, I was brought up that way. That's what I believed. And it wasn't until I had a real conversation with a dear friend of mine that had to make a difficult choice, and it opened my eyes, right? But if I wasn't open to that conversation with that person that was willing to share her story with me, I don't know that I start that path.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so, yeah, I think on both sides we need to listen, and we need to be open to having these discussions. I was born and raised here. This is my backyard, my community, and I've seen it go from a hard red to a purple state.
Yeah.
So I know progress is possible, but we're not doing enough.
Cool.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Yeah.
You get to your hike. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
have a great day.
Pleasure meeting you both.
Yeah,
Nice
thank
to
you.
meet you.
All right.
Have a good one.
A few more people came by.
Reproductive freedom for women?
Obviously, yes, 100%.
Okay. Are you?
Some supporters,
Have you signed our petition yet? This is women's reproductive choice?
I don't believe in that. I
Okay.
believe that choice is for the baby.
Got
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
See, this,
and some opponents who didn't want to engage.
have you signed the initiative yet?
Then,
Are you Arizona voters?
Yep, I signed already.
You've signed,
I
thank you. Have you
did.
signed, sir?
I will absolutely sign it.
Perfect. So are you a registered voter?
I am.
Are you in Maricopa County?
I do.
There you go. You've answered everything properly. And do you know what you're signing?
Yes.
Okay.
a small group came by
Could we just get your names real quick?
Morgan.
Rachel.
who just come down from the trail.
You said that the issue was like something you already knew about. How did this get on your radar?
Yeah, it's just a long-running issue within Arizona, and it's really unfortunate because, like, we already have enough problems here, but stating what women and women can't do with their bodies is just It's gross. It's disgusting. It's not okay.
Have you guys always voted? Do you associate yourself with a particular political party or identify with one?
Yeah, I've always been a voter. Independent and Democrat.
How about you?
I'd say I don't get inconsistent voter, but more, I guess, Democrat leaning independent. Yeah.
You know, obviously, this is going to be a unique presidential election because it's going to be a rematch between Biden and Trump. When we talk to people about that, we get a lot of range of opinions about the fact that it's going to be the two same candidates again. What do you think about that? And, like, how are you feeling about the job that President Biden's doing, if you don't mind me asking?
I think President Biden is doing a great job. I think the economy has been in its best in many, many years, even before Trump or Obama. I mean, of course, things change, times change, things become more expensive. That's just kind of how everything goes. And that's, you can't buy things for a penny anymore. So things change. You just got to adapt to those things. And that has nothing to do with him. And of course, with the two running against each other again, definitely not Trump, ever. He is the biggest man-child ever.
Did you vote in the last presidential election?
I did.
Do you mind who I asked you voted for? Did you vote Biden, Trump?
I would vote Biden.
Do you think you're going to vote again in this one?
No, I don't think so. I think the voting climate right now is just really exhausting for a lot of people. The two-party system is frustrating, only having the same two options. I don't think we should have, deep senior citizens in office making decisions for the country. They're antiquated. Their beliefs are old. It's just not progressive. It's not the direction we should be going.
Mm-hmm. You're saying the candidate options that are presented now make you not want to vote?
Yeah, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's either one or the other, and neither is really great.
Yeah. I mean, we heard how you feel about Trump. How do you feel about Trump?
Not a big fan. I think he elicits a lot of anger and a lot of separation between people. It's not a good look for our country, and it's not a community-driven thing. It doesn't make people believe in each other and help each other out. It just creates walls, and that's a bummer. So yeah.
But it's not enough for you. You wouldn't vote for Biden to stop him, it seems.
No.
Why not?
I don't necessarily think it stops it. It's just a two-party system. It's two groups of people perpetually screaming at each other. A vote's not going to help. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it seems like what is motivating you all is things like this referendum. You may not want those candidates back, but you do want stuff like abortion rights to be enshrined.
Yes.
Got it. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Would that bring you to the polls if this is on the ballot?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
But would you skip over the presidential race?
I mean, if I'm there, I'm there. I'll probably make a choice and vote. But otherwise, I'm not super interested in it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
The hikers who are supporting the ballot initiative pretty much represent the coalition of voters that abortion rights advocates are hoping for. A mix of committed liberals and some others who may not support Democrats traditionally or vote regularly, but are more motivated specifically by this issue. But I wasn't sure if groups like Arizona for Abortion Access saw their efforts as directly connected to helping President Biden win.
Okay, let me just figure out where we're going.
So we headed back into downtown Phoenix. Can you introduce yourself and tell me what you do?
My name is Athena Salman.
To meet with Athena Salman.
I am the director of Arizona Campaigns for Reproductive Freedom for All. I mobilize 75,000 members that we have in Arizona to move reproductive rights and freedoms in every single congressional district in the state. We're working to flip the state legislature. We're working to pass the ballot initiative and ultimately secure huge reproductive rights victories in Arizona moving forward.
And you're a former state legislator.
And I'm a former state legislator.
Athena has lived in Arizona for her whole life and has seen a lot of changes in the state.
When I was in college, that is when we got a Republican trifecta. So the governor was Republican, the legislature was controlled by Republicans, and prior to that, with the former governor, she was vetoing a lot of the really harsh bills that were passing through the legislature, but that's what really got me involved. The budget cuts to education, the attacks on women's rights, on immigration rights.
She joined the state legislature in 2017 when Arizona was in the midst of its shift to purple.
So in 2018, not only did we flip the U.S. Senate seat, but we also picked up enough seats for the Republicans to have a 1-vote majority. And that's where we've been stuck ever since. Mm-hmm. But it is so, so close. And
then came Dobbs.
In 2022, I'll never forget that moment. People who I had known to be lifelong Republicans, having their voices heard at the ballot box, doing the research of like, okay, you know what? I really don't care about the party anymore. I want to know who are the candidates that are going to fundamentally protect this right. And then in the 2022 election cycle, we saw huge victories with Governor Hobbs, who campaigned on the issue of abortion, defeating extremist Kari Lake. And then also very significantly is Attorney General Chris Mays, who won that statewide seat by 280 votes.
Yeah.
And now she's just one of our most vocal, active defenders of reproductive freedom in Arizona.
Athena and her group see abortion as the issue they need to finally push Arizona across the line.
With reproductive freedom for all, we are continuing to work to flip the legislature so we have a majority that supports reproductive freedom. And then, of course, we're one of the founding members and we're part of the coalition to secure the right to abortion in the Constitution through the Citizen Initiative so that in the future, our rights aren't up in the air and people aren't being whiplashed back and forth based on what a politician or a judge does.
Can you take me through what the November referendum would include, both in terms of abortion access and the possible exceptions after?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, what we are talking about here is a citizen initiative that will actually have the effect of protecting the legal right to abortion in Arizona. At the end of the day, the language got put in a place where we know that it very much closely restores the rights that we had under Roe v. Wade. What that means is up until fetal viability, the right of abortion is intact and protected for anyone who is seeking care. And after viability, there is the room for the decision to seek abortion care to be protected between the provider and the patient for healthy reasons, which includes mental health reasons. The reality with pregnancy is you cannot predict every complication. And so that is why it's so important for that provision to be protected of after viability. That's the bottom line here. And as a former elected official and policymaker, you can't legislate every single reason why someone would need an abortion and terminate a pregnancy. But what you can do is you can make sure that when someone has made that decision and needs to cross that bridge, that there is a way for them to get access to that health care when they need it, free from punishment or judgment.
And when we say fetal viability, is there a week's time to that?
That's determined by providers.
Mm-hmm. You know, when it became clear that the ballot measure was probably going to get enough signatures to appear in November, in political world, there was a lot of sense of like how much that shifts the presidential election. That, you know, with such a consensus issue in such an important state, that the best thing that could happen to Joe Biden maybe doesn't have to do with him at all, but might be this thing happening in the state. Does the way that this referendum affects Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, is that part of the calculus in it?
No, because when you look at the partisan breakdown, it's a third, right? A third Democrat, a third Republican, a third unaffiliated voters. And even in the last few election cycles, candidates who campaigned on the right to legal abortion ended up winning and securing those seats. So the voters are smart. They do their research. And when you compare the two track records, Donald Trump appointed the justices who undermined and overturned 50 years of legal precedent protecting the right to abortion. Our current president has made a commitment to protect and restore a federal right to abortion. So at the end of the day, the voters already see that contrast, and that's what they're going to be going to the ballot box.
Even though Donald Trump is currently saying that he doesn't support a federal abortion ban, you're saying the past is still enough to hold on to.
Yeah, we are in this mess. Arizona is in this mess because of Donald Trump and because of what he did to the Supreme Court. So voters will remember that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I hate to ask about Athena is describing a scenario that Democrats are banking on in 2024. Recent polling shows that 65% of likely Arizona voters support the abortion amendment. So advocates hope that not only do a wide range of voters show up in November to enshrine a woman's right to choose in the state, they also punish Donald Trump for the role he played in overturning Roe and sending this issue back to the states to begin with. And while that could be true, Trump has also tried to distance himself from his party's most extreme positions on the issue. So much so that it seemed worth asking, are there Arizona voters who support abortion rights and Trump? After the break, Caitlin goes to find out. After several days in the Phoenix area, I actually had to fly out because of a previous engagement. But Caitlin stuck around because there was one more event in Arizona that we wanted to go to. In the far west of the state, about a 4-hour drive from Phoenix, in Bullhead City. Bullhead City is in Mojave County, an area nestled in the desert between Phoenix and Las Vegas that's very, very conservative. 4 years ago, Trump got almost 75% of the vote in Mojave County. But that didn't stop Pam Shin. She's a volunteer for Arizona for Abortion Access who lives in the area and was planning to gather signatures at her neighborhood Bunko Club meeting. And if you don't know what Bunko is, don't worry. Neither did we.
What is Bunko?
Oh, okay, it's a dice game. Okay, you take dice, and there's, 1 through 6 on the dice, and you have to get, first you throw for 1s, and you throw for 2s, and you throw for 3s, and you throw for 4, all the way up to 6. Then we rest, so you have a little snack, and then we do round 2.
Somebody got a Bunko. They'll ring the bell. Hang on, I gotta go forward.
All right.
The Bunko is when you roll, say, we're rolling 1s. If I get 3 1s, I got 1. But if I get 3 1s, it's a Bunko. There's 2.
Oh, well, let's see.
21 points.
That's what
Keep going.
And then they get a little wild, huh?
About 30 women were at Bunko Club. Many of them were post-retirement age, wearing black T-shirts that said Dice Girls on them. One person always brings dessert. And that week, it was chocolate cake.
Can you introduce yourself? Tell me who you are and what you do.
My name is Pamela Shin. I'm a retired RN of 38 years. I retired from Summerlin Hospital where I did open heart for years. And I retired the first of the year. And so I've lived here for 20 years off and on, but traveled a lot. So mostly, though, I worked in, because my specialty doing open heart, I had to go to Las Vegas to do it.
Like the couple we met earlier, Pam also got involved in the ballot initiative after the state moved to revive its 1864 ban.
I went to go sign it, and I said, I'll help. I'll try to get signatures. That's how I found out about it, because I researched it, and I said, oh, my God, where can I sign this? Because I heard about it. And they changed it, that it was so barbaric. To me, it was like, what are you taking my rights away? What are you going to do, take my voting rights away next? What are you going to do next? I mean, if you're going to do this, you've only been voting for 100 years. I mean, what else are you going to take? And start taking birth control away and IVF? And I was just like, I have to do something. I don't want to just sit at home and whine about it. I want to do something proactive. And if that is getting signatures to put a petition onto the ballot so that we can vote, all Arizonans can vote, not just Republicans or Democrats or independents, everybody. And so for me, it's not a matter of, do I agree with abortion? Do I practice abortion? That's not my thing. My thing is about the choice of women having an option if they have no other option to do this. And it shouldn't be taken away.
Pam is focused on winning people over here, many of whom, like her, have conservative roots.
It's a very, very red area, and I'm not a red person, okay? I used to be a Republican, I hate to admit, but I'm no longer a Republican. Ever since the Trump era started, I changed my ticket. I said, that's it. I don't believe in this. I didn't vote for him. I won't vote for him. I never will vote for him. But living here in this area has been horrendous for me. Having to watch people that my good friends believe in something that it's just like they're brainwashed. It's so bad here.
So you're a volunteer for Arizona for Abortion Access. What's it like gathering signatures for this abortion ballot initiative here?
Sometimes it's kind of tough because you're dealing with a lot of preset notions. Of, there's some that's very religious, there's some there's not. There's some that, are like, well, that just goes against everything. You're a baby killer. I'm like, I'm not a baby killer. I'm a nurse. How could I be a baby killer? I'm not about killing children, but it's just their backwards thinking. And most of the women, like you'll see, are an older group here. And most of them have already lived their lives. But it's their children and their grandchildren that now have these laws. They had the freedom to choose. Why don't you want the same thing for your children? And that's the thing I try to get across. Why don't you want the same thing for your children that you had?
That's your pitch?
Yeah, basically.
Can I listen to you do your thing?
Sure.
Pam approached one of the tables where several women were sitting.
I have to tell everybody. How are you? Guys, I'm bringing a petition tonight to everybody. So this is to put on the ballot for all Arizonans. You don't have to be a Republican, a Democrat, or independent. It's for all women here tonight. So if you want to sign, this is to put the law on the books for us to have rights back and turn the rights back over so that we have rights for abortion. So you only have to be a registered Mojave voter. So if anybody would like to sign, I have it here.
Gorgeous. I need to get my glasses. I can't see shit.
What exactly?
When they passed around the petition,
Nobody's first name, but everyone.
the group's ideological diversity became clear.
Nobody judges nobody.
That's right. You have that right, and everybody else should have the right too, right?
Okay, I'll sign it.
Some signed immediately.
You don't have to. It's all right. I know.
Some people passed. And when Caitlin followed up with women in both groups, their reasoning was both political and very personal.
To me, killing any life is against what I believe.
It's your body. You should have the right to choose. It should have never been taken away.
But if you're in the heat of passion and you spread your legs and you get pregnant and then, oh shoot, I didn't want that baby. You gave up your right to control your whole body once you have another baby in there.
We signed the paper for abortion because I have a granddaughter that was very sick during her pregnancy in Bullhead City 2 years ago, and the doctor could not perform abortion. The baby died inside of her before they could take it out, and it's very sad. I'm hoping that the abortion become legal, especially for certain cases.
Their beliefs about abortion did sometimes align with the traditional partisan split on the issue. But for a number of women in this red pocket of a purple state, that was not the case.
What's your name?
Judy McClanahan.
Nice to meet you. I'm Caitlin. So when Pam came around with the petition, what did you do?
Signed.
Can you tell me why?
Because I believe women should have the right to an abortion or not.
Is there a political party that you identify with the most?
Republican. I'm 100% for Donald Trump, and I think Joe Biden has done everything he could to ruin our country.
Are you planning on voting in November?
Oh, yes.
Do you feel in line with your party on abortion?
No, I don't look at it politically. I look at it as a woman. And, even if the Democrats are for it and Republicans aren't, that doesn't sway my opinion.
Thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Sure, anytime.
Thank you. And can I ask you all my questions now?
You can ask me questions, but I don't like to talk about politics.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Gail Ann Maxim.
So when the signature page came around, what did you do?
I signed it because I think it's women should be able to make a choice whether they can get an abortion or not. I don't think that the government should be telling them they can't, and it's against the law. Yeah.
Is there a political party that you identify with?
I'm signed up Democrat, but normally if I vote for what I feel is right. I don't always go along with a Democrat, no.
Are you planning on voting in November? Do you think you will?
Yeah, I need to vote because, every vote counts, so yes.
Do you know who you would vote for at this point?
You know what? I'm going to vote for other stuff, but I don't think I'm going to vote for a president because I don't want either one.
So if abortion does get on the ballot, do you think you would vote on that issue?
Yes, I would.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The last person she talked to
Sherry.
Sherry, it's nice to meet you, Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
was a woman named Sherry.
I'm not against it because I feel that you should have a choice. It's your body. And I would hope that they would use good common sense and do it because there's a reason to do it, not just because, I don't want a baby. It's just so hard to say because you're not in that person's life. You don't know what all the circumstances are. We can sit here and say, she should do this, this, and this. But you don't know.
Is there a political party that you identify with?
Not really. I really don't know. I look at both sides. My one son is very, very liberal, and my husband's very conservative, so we don't, talk too much about it.
Do you usually vote?
I used to. I didn't last year. I'm going to try to this year, yeah.
What changed? Was there a thing that changed?
No, I think life just kind of got in the way and the ballot came and then we had a different address and this and that. But I need to do that. I really do. I know that.
Is there an issue that's most important to you?
That's a big one that we're talking about.
Abortion.
Yes, definitely. And, I don't know. It's just, there's so much out there going on right now with, the taxes and the this and the that. And I don't know. I like to think I'm pretty liberal too, but then moving out here was kind of a little change for us.
When you say abortion is one that matters for you, what do you look for in a politician on abortion? Like, what do you believe about it, and what are you hoping to see in your government?
Well, I would hope he would put that, like you said, on the ballot where there's women's rights, for one thing, that we have a choice. But like I said, you don't know what someone's going through. And I hate to say, I'm pro-life, and then stand there and say, you shouldn't have done that because it's got a big choice. It's your body, And I was not married and I got pregnant and I went to Planned Parenthood and I got this wonderful lady and I was not young. So it wasn't like, I can handle this. And I said, I don't know what to do. And she said, it's your choice. It's your body. She said, so you have to decide. And don't let him tell you should do this. It's not happening to him. And that always kind of stuck with me because it's so true. I think that's what happens to women. Their partner will say, we just can't do this. You better go do that. Well, that's wrong. That's up to her.
What did you do?
Kept him. Yeah, he travels all over the world. Just has a wonderful life. Yeah. And I'm so proud for him to do that. And he makes a difference being a teacher. So, you got it. Each individual is going to be so different. It could be their age. They could be, if they're 10 years old or 12 years old, yeah. Let's think about this and the quality of life that baby's going to have or the mama's going to have,
If you had to choose between Trump and Biden, do you know what you would do?
That's a tough one. I try to listen to both sides of it. I guess I'd have to say Trump because he just seems, not even all his what he stands for and some of the things he says are just really not what I would think of. But Biden just seems, I hate to say it, kind of old. And I just feel like that's not good for our country. So,
do you feel like Trump is where you are on abortion?
I don't follow him that much. I almost feel like if it's on a given day. Well, today that sounds good. Today we're going to get this and this. And then tomorrow, I'm going to change my mind. I feel like he can be very, very edgy, I guess is a good word.
And so it seems like what you're saying is like there's a world where in November you might vote for Trump and then you might also vote for this abortion initiative.
Yes, that's true.
All right, I think that's all I got. Thank you so much for talking to me.
I have my thoughts on it, but, like I said, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of hard. But like she said, our women's rights, and I like to think back in the day I would be one that would be out there really, holding my little stick up or whatever, because women were and still are treated differently, unfortunately. And they'll say, oh, no, we are not equal. We just aren't. And it shows when push comes to shove and it gets down to the bottom, we are not.
Sherry's experience speaks to why abortion rights attract such a broad coalition of support, and why the proposed ballot measure gives Democrats a unique opportunity to have one message that both motivates its base and appeals to the other side. Still, as the women of Bunko Club illustrate, support for abortion rights doesn't always translate to enthusiasm for the top of the ticket, much less for Joe Biden. But there's another, more subtle way that the presence of abortion rights on the ballot could help Democrats, beyond driving turnout or enthusiasm. It serves as a constant reminder of Republican extremism, considering it's Donald Trump who got Roe overturned in the first place, and the party is yet to figure out its own position on the issue. That's next week. That's the run-up for Thursday, June 13th, 2024. And now, the rundown. Arizona is one of many places where abortion access is top of mind in 2024. So I figured this week, the rundown could zoom out a little to better understand the broader landscape of abortion rights in the rest of the country. And to do so, I called on an expert.
I'm Lisa Lair. I'm a national political correspondent at the New York Times, and I'm the author of a new book called The Fall of Roe and the Rise of a New America.
My colleague Lisa Lair is a leading political reporter who focuses a lot of her work, and her new book, on chronicling how abortion access has changed.
Our book really looks at what we call the final decade of the Roe era, because that's when, obviously, this is a 50-year fight by the anti-abortion movement, but it's in that final decade that their efforts really start, just increasing and intensifying. And then, of course, they hitch their star to Donald Trump, and he gets 3 Supreme Court justices. And so we really got behind the scenes on both the political and legal strategy that allowed their movement to accomplish this.
Can you talk me through just what the state of abortion access is, and specifically how it relates to 2024 in November?
Well, abortion has been restricted or banned in a little under half the country. I believe it's about 21 states or so right now. That's been going on since, of course, the Supreme Court ruling that got rid of Roe. In some of those states, the bans are in current litigation, so they're in the court system.
Mm-hmm.
In some of those states, abortion is just completely banned, places like Texas or Mississippi, where it has been completely criminalized. Those states cover the entire Southeast, really, and parts of the West. And Biden has promised, of course, he's made a central promise of his campaign to restore Roe, saying he'll restore federal abortion rights. That's something that's very hard to do. It will require 60 votes in the Senate, which is unlikely Democrats will have, or upending the filibuster to do it, which they also don't have the votes to do. So Democrats have really turned their attention, and abortion rights supporters, to going state by state and getting these ballot measures on the ballot and put in front of voters. And they've had some success so far with those efforts.
Yeah. What other states other than Arizona where abortion could matter this November? Is there anywhere else where it's on the ballot quite literally?
So there's as many as a dozen states or so where they're considering getting these things on the ballot, and abortion rights supporters are trying to get these measures on the ballot. A lot of them are really in flux. You know, there's court challenges to getting them on. There's complicated processes. Every state has different processes to get them on. Arizona is certainly a central focus of the political world because it's such a pivotal swing state and it has so many competitive races. People are also pretty focused on Florida. Because that's historically, although it's less of a swing state now, it's historically been one. And what some Biden campaign folks have told me is those states also have outsized resonance beyond the politics of their specific state, because they think what the measures in those two states signal to voters as abortion bans and restrictions are not just an issue in these very conservative places like Mississippi, like Alabama. There's something that's a national issue and that's also impacting states that voters may not expect as much, a place like Arizona or Florida, to have those kinds of laws.
Got you. It seems as if abortion is playing two roles for Democrats right now. It is both a tangible issue that has a very literal effect for voters, and because it's been returned to the state, they can message specifically about its impact on your lives. And it also seems like it fits into like a kind of broader messaging thing that they're doing, painting Republicans as extreme and out of touch. And it feels like for those efforts, abortion is also a critical piece.
Yes, and I think they've hit their stride in some ways on how they've messaged it, right?
What do you mean?
Well, for a long time, Democrats talked about abortion as health care. And what the data showed is that people really didn't see abortion as health care. They didn't think it was the same as going to get a root canal or whatever. What they do see it as, and there's been a lot of like focus groups and polling and sort of political research on this, is an issue of freedom, of whether you have the right to control your body, to control your family, to make decisions about your own, personal choices. And that's really the message that Democrats have embraced just up and down the ballot. And what we've seen, at least in these, sort of two test cases that we've had since Roe fell, which of course were the 2022 midterms and these gubernatorial races in 23, is that it's been a powerful message for them. And it's one that also cuts into sort of Republican messaging that they have tried to frame themselves up as the party of freedom. And Democrats can kind of cut into that a little bit here.
Got it. Thanks so much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
There are 32 days to the Republican National Convention, 67 days until the Democratic National Convention, and 145 days until the general election. We'll see you next week. The Run-Up is reported by me, Ested Herndon, and produced by Elisa Gutierrez, Caitlin O'Keefe, and Anna Foley. It's edited by Rachel Dry and Lisa Tobin, with original music by Dan Powell, Marian Lozano, Pat McCusker, Diane Wong, Sophia Landman, and Elishaba Itu. It was mixed by Sophia Landman and fact-checked by Will Peischel. Special thanks to Paula Schumann, Sam Dolnick, Larissa Anderson, David Haufinger, Maddie Masiello, Mahima Chablani, Jeffrey Miranda, and Elizabeth Bristow. Do you have questions about the 2024 election? Email us at therunup@nytimes.com. Or better yet, record your question using the voice memo app in your phone. That email again is therunup@nytimes.com. Thanks for listening, y'all.